Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2016 feature film, which grossed over $1 billion at the box office. Rogue One, Star Wars. No, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. There we go. Okay, I love this movie so much. I don't even know where to begin to start talking about this. So this came out in December 2016, month after the November 2016 election cycle, and the country was just in a downward spiral since. And to have this film made years before the events that took place a month before the release of this film, to have Jin going on about rebellions are built on hope, and all of these different monologues that just resonated so intently with all of us. It's so hard to watch this film without getting chills, knowing that it leads right into episode 4, A New Hope, but very, very parallel to what was happening in the United States at that present moment, at that time. Again, being written and filmed years prior to the release, a month after the chaos just started for the country. It was very serendipitous, and I still get choked up watching this all these years later. It's been 7 years since this film came out, and it's just so amazing in a uplifting sense, acknowledging the horrors, to lead to change for the better outcome for everybody, and that's just preached upon this excessively, and we get so much of this because of this film, because of the story within this film. um I just, the last 30 minutes of this film, knowing that it's a suicide mission, that the Rogue One squadron is not squadron, the Rogue One call sign went on a suicide mission on Scarif to get the plans of the Death Star to beam up to the Rebel Alliance. That way they could, understand the way to actually defeat the Death Star. It's just so, it's amazing. It's amazing how all these things intertwine. Okay, emotions aside, this takes place, the beginning of this film has a kid, Jyn Erso, whose father, Galen Erso, is one of the lead designers of the Death Star. He has not been with the Empire for quite some time now, and has been farming with his wife and daughter on a far off planet. Right, so we're in Scarif, we're in Jeddah, we're in Edu, we're in a bunch of other places. There's a lot of places that we visit within this 2.5 hour movie. It's 2 hours and 20-minute movie. It's the main focal point is Scarif, Edu, and Jeddah, and the Jeddah being the experiment of the Death Star. It was very, very rough to begin with. But we have Saw Gerrera in this. We have Mon Mothma in this. A lot of rebel leaders and captains, generals, pilots, fighters. A lot of Rebel Alliance characters that we've known and loved throughout the Rebels series and throughout the Clone Wars series have come into this. Bail Organa is in this, saying that he has to go and he's got to talk to his Jedi friend. I trust her. She's fought with me for quite some time, and he's referencing Ahsoka. So a lot of stuff within the shows is being brought to this film, and it's so cool knowing the intertwining of all of this, as all good Star Wars shows have done so far, have shown us so far. Now, Andor, the TV series, is like 2 years prior to the events of Rogue One, because Cassian Andor, played by Diego Lugo, who is a god amongst us mere mortals, does an incredible job alongside Felicity Jones, who plays grown-up Jyn Erso, alongside Alan Tudyk, who is the voice motion capture of KTSO, the droid, the Imperial droid that was reprogrammed. The three of them together is just absolutely perfect. But then you have the pilot, then you have the monk, Chiro, then you have his muscle, whose name I can't remember. So it's very interesting going to Jeddah to find Saw Gerrera, to find this pilot who Galen sent to give Saw Gerrera a message. And Jyn comes across the Rebel Alliance, who has been tracking her, thinking that she would be a key to get to Saw to get the message. So that's pretty much how we start. we get the message from Galen Erso saying that he, created a flaw within the system, that a certain blast and a certain angle, can, destabilize the whole thing, and it's just gone. And we know that from A New Hope, that they have to get the two particles within a little spot and all stuff, right? We know Luke does that within the trenches run. So the Death Star, using Jedha as the experiment, disintegrating that city, Saw Gerrera dies, within the blast, getting everybody off the planet as it's disintegrating, as the city is disintegrating. Very cool is in regards to the test run. Still horrifying because millions of lives were killed, but still impressive in the sense of, let's test our missile, let's test our new weapon, let's see what it can do, because we know it destroys Alderaan, and we know it destroys other planets moving forward in other films. So the Empire is strong. The Empire is very strong. Darth Vader's in this in a few scenes, talking about plans of the Death Star, and then leading up to the very beginning of A New Hope, getting onto the Rebel ship after the plans are passed, eventually to Leia, and then the Rebel runner escapes before Darth and his pilots get on their fighters and board the Rebel ship. It's very intense. The battling on Scarif, Jin's farewell to Galen on Edu at first, and then will Cassian kill him? Will Cassian won't kill him? The first thing we see of Cassian is him killing 2 stormtroopers and his informant. And the first time we see Cassian in season 1 of Andor, we see him killing 2 security guards. So Cassian's just killing everybody for the good of the Empire. For the good of the Rebel Alliance against the Empire. So it's really cool seeing the ending of the character, and then knowing with the beginnings of the character that in this film he says, I've been in this battle since I was 6, and we see him at 6 being taken off of that planet, with his now adopted mom and adopted father rebelling into the rebel cause. So it's very interesting having that TV series as a prequel to this film, because a lot of the other properties have been prequels to other stuff and then side stories. It all just mends so well together. But getting the plans and the battles within the Citadel Tower and the fighting on the tropical planet of Scarif, it was neat because we haven't seen stuff like that before. We've seen forest, we've seen ice, we've seen sand. We haven't really seen tropical. So like, that was different. That was neat, and it was very neat to see all of that. But knowing how it all comes about, getting the plans shot up through, the satellite had to be repositioned appropriately. The plans were beamed up to the Rebel fleet, and then it was translated to a disc, which then we know goes to R2-D2, as in a message is brought to R2-D2. And then the plans are, passed along to other Rebel alliances to get a plan together to figure out how to defeat the Death Star. So to have this film primarily take within the week of leading up to the beginning of A New Hope, it's just so cool. The best reaction video is a girl just crying on the couch watching this as her friend is recording her, knowing that it leads right into our introduction of the rebels being boarded by Darth Vader in the first film, which was in 1977. So it was just a full circle moment, bro. It was so cool. One of my fun fact about this, my favorite fun fact about this, is when they were first coming about this film, some of the producers were just digging through the archives at Lucasfilm Studios, and they came across old film canisters from the original Star Wars, and it turns out that it was unused footage used in 77 Star Wars, which was later renamed A New Hope. So the shots of Red Leader and Gold Leader checking in their X-Wings as the squadrons are going about Scarif, doing their things, is the actual footage that was unused. So to have it spliced in to a 2016 film from a 1977 film, to have it spliced in as unused footage, and it works so flawlessly, they digitized the hell out of it. They really amped up that HD quality, but it was just so amazing having this melding of forces come together for the good of the story. To use unused footage in a film, it was just so wonderful, and that's what they did a lot within Carrie, when she passed, they had to use a lot of unused footage of her character as Leia Organa, as General Organa. Um, eh, you know, Carrie Fisher's death was hard because it was obviously it was unplanned, unexpected, and traumatizing to many of folks, especially her family. And they had to finish her character's story arc within episode 9, and I'm still not happy with how they finished the story arc. But they used unused footage of, I want to say, the eighth film, seventh and eighth film, to then meld together a plot point to give her the send off in the ninth film. So Star Wars is known to do that, but those films happened after this film. So it's very interesting watching all of this start within this film going forward. Rogue One is absolutely incredible. Does not get enough credit as it's due. To have we know that it's a suicide mission. It's referenced, within the first film of Rogue One, sacrifice themselves to get the plans or something like that. I can't remember the quote directly, but how did it happen? And we get how it happens, and it's just so neat because it's unexpected. Like, you never thought that we would be getting this kind of story, and it worked so well. And then here we are now with season 1 of 12 episodes of season 1 of Andor, and season 2 is just slated. And the last 4 or 5 episodes of Andor is just absolutely perfect television. Not just perfect Star Wars, perfect television. The No Way Out episode of Escaping the Prison is one of the best things I've ever seen in any television ever. So it's just amazing to see this prequel series have incredible story arcs from Diego Luna's character of Cassian Andor, which we were introduced to him with right before his death. It's just so neat. I just love the intertwining of the story. I love all of it. It's so wonderful. I also loved that this had nothing to do with Sith, and it had nothing to do with Jedi. This was just about normal people. How do normal people react? How do normal people interact and survive when their place of living is occupied by Empire? How does that work? And we see how that works, and we see the fighting along the way. We see the Rebel Alliance fighting along the way. It's just tired, fed up people that want change, that want to be given the rights that they deserve, and to not be taken advantage of, and for the good of the alliance, for the good of the alliance. It's just such a wonderful metaphor of everything represented within the country currently, represented within the country when this film came out. Change is not fast. It's a slow progress, and it's interesting to watch the progress of change within film, but also within comparison to film, but with also real time. Very interesting. This film makes you think, and I cannot express my gratitude enough for this film making me think, and making a lot of other people think. And the quotes of "rebellions are built on hope" used constantly within the resistance that is fighting the patriarchy. Oh man, Gen Z is just doing wonders right now on the internet. Wonders. Gen Alpha is coming up right behind them. Millennials laid some groundwork within social media. It's just so everyone's just tired. We're tired, man. We're tired. Tired. Rebellions are built on hope. Rogue One, 2016, incredible film. Disney is doing a wonderful job, certain wonderful jobs. The sequel series, we have to talk about 7 and 8. I know we talked about 9. I didn't like 9, but we got to revisit 7 and 8. I gotta revisit some stuff. We're gonna talk Disney Lucasfilm buying and stuff, but the TV series, incredible. The tie-ins with the shows within Rogue One, incredible. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.